tragedy of the troubles was the troubles. Something inhuman has happened here. We need to rewrite a new story.
The iRemember project aims to tell the stories of 5 different people from all across the community, and this is their story.
All of these stories together form one arc of a truth, and this truth will show the innocence of childhood, the emergence of the shadow of the gun, the darkest days of the troubles, the impact of those dark days on today, and how we move forward.
I had a very happy childhood. When I was growing up, I'm at the age that when I was growing up, there were no problems. I was reared half on a farm and half in the town. And we used to call it going home at the weekend because we went out to the farm every weekend.
My early childhood memories growing up in Northern Ireland was fantastic. And I know people talk about the hard times then, but growing up in a happy family environment and a good community environment, to me it was always something special.
I've so really good memories of playing football in the Bishop's Field. Maybe at some kind of level of a dream could I become a footballer, but I studied hard and maybe put studying before football. Yeah. And I can recall being told, you know, you could end up, I think a phrase might have been on the scrap heap if you don't focus on your studies. And so I did well at school and got 4 A-levels and went to Queen's. And I was the first person in all our family, you know, both of my mother's side and father's side, to go to university. That was in '69.
Well, I suppose when I grew up in Northern Ireland, which was pre the present troubles, really life was normal in a sense, except that you always knew in this background that you came from one side of the community as opposed to the other, and that your opportunities in life, both job-wise and housing-wise and things like that, there was discrimination against you because I came from a Catholic background. And even at school, I realised when I was at grammar school that the opportunities for me, even getting to university, was lower than the other side of the community. That's just the way life was. But it was a very happy childhood. There was no violence that I knew about. So therefore, it didn't impact much on my life.
Leading up to the 5th of October 1968, which is actually my birthday, it was my 13th birthday. And after that there was like maybe a watershed's not the right word, but there was definitely a change in the tone and the feeling. And people started, you know, the guys that I grew up with started drifting away, you know. I said, you see Mickey about? Seen Mickey for a couple of weeks, I don't know what he's doing, you know, and then other people would sort of drift into your life. So, and I often say, you know, that people, you know, got entrenched or they went and jumped into their comfortable trenches.
And we became aware of a different language which you used, you know, so we were aware not to offend anybody. So I think that was maybe when it came along to us having to leave our home, we became acutely aware then, oh, things are changing in our city. And to be honest, it was very worrying and very distressing.
The focus will now fall upon specific memories of these tragic days.
I guess a word to cover it all, this is trauma. 20 years of age, and they're seeing someone shot. And they're shooting, you see somebody else shot, you think this guy's shot. One of the things I should add is when I was involved in the riot, my daddy was stood at the corner of Chamberlain Street and William Street watching, because in a riot, you probably don't know this, but so the army would shoot their rubber bullets at the corrugated tin. We were behind that throwing stones. You would drop it because you couldn't hold it. A volley of rubber bullets. You'd run back and then you'd regroup and come forward and pick it up again.
Right.
So my daddy was there watching this. So he was that kind of man. He was there in the march. He was looking to see how he was involved. I suppose he had a political awareness.
This may horrify people, but go back to the times that we lived in. And I says, right. He says, and he says, and it was like a wee money market with one aisle, and the guy comes out from his kitchen, probably through a door, because my granddad actually had a wee shop every summer. And they went ding, the guy comes out, says, hello, can I help you? He pulls out a gun and shoots him. Which was par for course in the 70s. And I says, right. He says, I was just about to go, he says, and the door to the dwelling opened again. That was the man's wife. Now obviously he's lying behind the counter now, either dying or dead. She sees her husband in a pool of blood, she starts screaming. So he shoots her too. So he says, I turned to my heel and I was just about to walk away. He says, and the door opened again. He says, and walked a 8-year-old girl. And at that point, I think I probably had a sharp intake of breath. I know that I was trying not to look horrified at what I was about to hear, because you had to be tough in those days, And I said, what did you do? Not wanting to hear the answer. And he says, I started shooting at her. And I said, she's right. He says, and she started running around the shop and screaming and all. And I says, and what happened? He says, I ran out of ammunition. And the disappointment on his face, that he had failed in his mission, that he wasn't able to kill that kid, was something that'll stay with the look on his face. It'll stay with me till the day I die, and that was my turning point. I suddenly, it was like somebody switched the light on and said, James, this is not.
Okay.
This is wrong.
Just a bit of background was my husband, because he was a civilian worker employed by the Ministry of Defence, my husband was a target for the IRA. So they took over our home, held us captive and took my husband hostage. They chained him to a van containing 1,200 pounds of explosives and forced him to drive into an army checkpoint where the bomb was detonated by remote control. He was blown to pieces along with 5 soldiers, but not before he was able to shout a warning, and he saved the lives of quite a few soldiers in the checkpoint that night. At that time in my life, I was 41. I had 3 children. It happened on our eldest son's 18th birthday. I had a son of 16 and I had a daughter of 12. So I had to find a way to bring these children up without their father and in safety.
She'd been banging a bin lid in the backyard, and a soldier had fired and shot her dead.
And just as I come back across the street, I met up with an anaesthetist from Armenia who had been on the parade as well. And people recognised that he was a doctor from the way he was reacting, so they asked, the both of us went into different houses to see people, and one of the first, the young boy was lying in the hall face down, and he was dead. And then we went into a sitting room of another house, and there was a young boy lying on a sofa, and his jeans was opened and he had been shot in the belly.
We were stood outside with placards saying Bloody Sunday, classes should be suspended, or whatever, I don't know what we're, you know, and he came past and went in. I remember thinking thoughts that were negative. I was trying to figure out if learning about English literature is, you know, it's meant to be a humanities degree, something inhuman has happened here, and therefore what this department should do is shut itself down.
The whole thing was a tragedy, you know, and people like me now reflect and say it was a tragedy that maybe should never have happened.
Oh, I don't want to be called a victim. I'm a survivor. I don't want to be called a survivor. I'm a victim. It doesn't change your circumstances, so I'm happy with whatever they want to call me. You have to learn to be tolerant, and it's still very difficult. I mean, I am now in my 70s, and I still have to learn to, or try to deal with how I felt all those years. First about the injustice towards Catholics in Derry, and then what the British government did to us, and how they lied, mostly about Bloody Sunday. Like, there was, before Savile, there was another inquiry, Widgery, and I mean, they just made us, everybody out to be liars.
As the years have went on, it's been a long, long road, really a long road, but I can see a change in the young people now.
And I have a belief that each of us has a story. You know, as much as we have skin and we have bones, we have nails, we have blood, we have a story. And it's really great. You know, in war there's not a safe space. So in relative peace, if we can find safe spaces where we can tell each other the story. So I think listening. Listening is, and listening without being about to jump in and say, but the British Army did this, or but the IRA did that, but listening to the experience of the people.